Test, test. Shabbat Shalom. It sounds like it's working. It sounds hot to me.
check. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Ya la lie. Ya la lie. Ya la lie. Ya lie, 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 la lie. Lie, 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 lie. Yai lai la lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai 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 lai. Ya la lai. Ya la lai. Ya la lai. Yai lai 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 la lai. Lai 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 lai. Lie, lie, la lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie, la lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie, la lie. Lie, 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 lie. Yai, lie, la lie. Lie, 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 la lie, lie. Yai, lie, 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 lie. Yai, lie, la lie, lie, lie. Lie, lie, la lie, 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 lie. Ya la lie. Ya la lie. Ya la lie. Yai, lie, 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 la lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to congregants, to friends, to guests, everyone joining us here in person in the sanctuary and everyone joining us online this evening. We welcome to the Bima our board of director member, Cassidy Layton. Thank you for your partnership, Cassidy. And a special welcome tonight. Many of you know, Road of Shalom has a memorial scroll that was saved from the Holocaust. There's an organization, the Memorial Scrolls Trust, and actually this year we're going to be planning, there's a wonderful reunion of these scrolls, which are all over the world now. That's going to be a reunion for the scrolls in our region. And the wonderful Jeffrey Strauss, our congregant, is going to be leading this effort. And you can speak to him if you'd like to be more involved. You can even wave your hand up there, Jeffrey. Thank you. And so we'd like to welcome those. We have Barbara Chesler and many others from the Memorial Scroll Trust Committee that are here with us tonight. So thank you for being here. It's wonderful to have you. Let's ensure that we are praying together as one community tonight. Please take a moment, find someone new to greet, and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Look at all this wonderful greeting one another. We love it. We are honored this Shabbat to have Jeff and Michelle Eichen to lead us in our Shabbat blessings, beginning with candle lighting on page 2.
Okay. Got it? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
And the Kiddush can be found on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uv'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר לציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים.
L'chaim. Thank you, Jeff and Michelle.
Do that.
Right? Yeah, we need a base. Sometimes we have, yeah. If you looked up at the sky last night, well, it was a little cloudy, but if you could see through the clouds, you might have noticed it was a new moon, right? You saw maybe a tiny little crescent, which means for the Jewish world, this is the beginning of a new month. It is Rosh Chodesh, literally the head of the month. For rabbis, it means we got to get working on our sermons, because it is the first of the month of Elul today. Elul begins really is the unofficial or official beginning to the High Holy Day season. We don't just jump right into Yom Kippur in 1 month's time, but our Jewish calendar says we have an entire month, this month of Elul, to begin to prepare ourselves for our High Holy Day season. The rabbis teach that actually the name Elul could be read as an acronym for a phrase from Song of Songs: Ani, that's the Aleph, Lidodi, the Lamed, Vidodi, the Vav, Li. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. I'm looking at some wonderful couples in the congregation, and some of you spoke those words at your wedding, or maybe you saw those on your ketubah, and really it is can speak about the love, the closeness, the connection between two people, but also is used as an allegory for our relationship to the divine, to God, however we might describe God, however we might define God within our lives. The rabbis they tell us a metaphor of a rope. And if we think about our connection to God or to one another, a rope, sometimes we know that rope gets severed. Maybe it gets cut. For whatever reason, we lose that connection with each other, with the divine. But that Elul and the High Holy Day season offers an opportunity to tie that rope together. And if you think about the two ends of the rope, right? You've cut it, and now you got to tie it back together. Those two sides are actually now closer together than they ever were before. During Elul, one of the traditions is to offer some different psalms, including Psalm 27, which we'll be singing tonight from your Shabbat program. It's on page 4. We'll be singing that in a moment. And the words, Echad Sha'alti, really speak of that same metaphor of wanting to draw close to the divine, wanting to draw close to our true selves in this season of Cheshbon HaNefesh, this internal accounting of our souls, this season of introspection. And so we take a deep breath and release, turning from the mundane of our week to the introspection and connections that Shabbat and Elul begin. Page 4 in our program, Echad Sha'alti.
Achat sha'alti me'etz Adonai. Achat sha'alti אותה אבקש. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש. שבתי בבית אדוני, שבתי כל ימי חיי, שבתי בבית אדוני, שבתי כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהחלום, לחזות בנועם אדוני, gaze upon your beauty, O Adonai. Achat sha'alti me'etz Adonai, achat sha'alti ota avakesh. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש.
With the joy of a wedding, we continue with Lecha Dodi, pages 20 and 21.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרלה. Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרלה. Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם משוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך ומאורי אורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
Please rise as we symbolically welcome Shabbat.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing as we turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Do you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ga-la-la-la-la, 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 ga-la-la-la-la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya-la-la-la-la, 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 ya-la-la-la-la,
We read together on the top of page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
And on the top of page 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
On the top of page 39, we read together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילו עושה ולב. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילו עושה ולב. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי מחמוך באלים אדוני מחמוך באלים אדוני.
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Page 42.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. 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 ושמור צאתנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to a parched field, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Continue with tefillah on pages 46 and following. Please rise.
Yai lai 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 lai, ya la 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 lai lai lai. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ya la lai lai lai, 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 ya la lai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol, ata rav lehoshia, morid hatal, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורו ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We turn to the top of page 61 and join together with our prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. We take moments now for silent prayer.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, Adonai Tzuri Begoali. Yehu Liratzon Imrefi Vehegyon Libi Lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri Begoali, Adonai Tzuri Begoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my Ra and my Redeemer. Ratzon imrefi Adonai tzuri vegoali. Adonai tzuri vegoali.
In a moment, we'll be on page 253, in the middle of the page for the Misha Beirach, our prayer for healing. Jewish tradition teaches that it was this exact day, the first of Elul, when Moses ascended Mount Sinai for the second time after breaking the first set of tablets to receive a new second copy of the Ten Commandments. We ask, though, what did he do with the first copy, which he broke? Well, rather than just throw them out in the trash, they instead kept them. They were sacred as well. And tradition says that the Israelites kept those broken tablets along with the whole ones in the ark along their entire journey through the wilderness. We too carry our brokenness with us. While we might appear one way on the outside, that brokenness remains always a part of us. And we don't seek to ignore or eliminate it, but instead, carrying some of that brokenness with us helps us. It helps us to see the brokenness in others. It helps us to be agents of healing to others and ourselves. If you are holding someone in your heart tonight in need of healing, mind, body, or spirit, I invite you to write their names in the chat or speak their names aloud at this time.
Shebeirach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn our thoughts to all of the blessings, the simchas, the special occasions in our lives worthy of blessing. And so as you reflect on the past day, the past week, this very moment, consider your blessings and if there's something you might like to call out and share with the community. Pension. Good to have you here and strong. Karen?
Speaking of vacations, I just returned this afternoon from the Poconos, where I spent 4 days with my extended family. That was a wonderful time.
Good. You never know. Good.
I couldn't make it from Hawaii, the airplanes and all that.
Oh, well, extended time with family. Lovely. Was there somebody else? Yes. Oh, and healing. Healing. All right. Yes, Fred. I don't know how those extended family pictures ever happen with those outfits and the smiles, I know, but good to be together with family. I'll add that, I'd never want you to hesitate taking vacation or taking a break, or as you did for the last 2 weeks serving our youth at URJ Camp Harlem. It's so good to have Cantor Hyman back and join with full voice and Ruach spirit in the music of Shabbat. For all of those blessings, we turn to page 344 and continue with our Shehechianu, our blessing of thanksgiving.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I had the opportunity this summer to see the revival of the show Parade on Broadway with Ben Platt starring. It's the story of Leo Frank, who in 1915 in Georgia was kidnapped from his prison cell and murdered by hanging by a mob, an anti-Semitic mob, after having been convicted wrongly because he was Jewish. This story had always been taught to me as an example of what's so unusual, so rare, that it was actually the exception to the rule. So oddly enough, although it was a story of anti-Semitism, it also demonstrated how it was the exception to the Jewish rule of safety in America. In the past several years, a lot has changed about that context. I'll share a few things about my actual experience seeing Parade. At the intermission, I made my way with hundreds of others to the long intermission restroom line, of course, and found the benefit of that long line is lots of people together in small quarters. I could overhear a lot of conversations. And in one of them, one young adult was speaking to her friend and said, as she was just sort of figuring out what Act 1 had taught her, she said, "So he was just convicted because he was Jewish? It was just anti-Semitism?" Yes, that's it. It was just anti-Semitism. On my way out, I was reminded there remains in our society some reluctance around naming anti-Semitism, naming Jew hatred for what it is, probably true of other oppressions, of other identities as well. Naming it for what it is, not making excuses, but coming face to face. So on my way out of the show, I passed the big t-shirt kiosk. Now you might wonder, what is a t-shirt designer going to do with this? Right? I can just picture them sitting around the table saying, how do we make a fun t-shirt out of this topic? Hint, maybe you don't. So one t-shirt said, howdy, shalom. Cute, but sort of tone deaf to the entire tragedy of the story and the fact that really nobody was saying howdy or shalom to Leo Frank and his situation. Another t-shirt quoted the characters from their moment of fighting for Leo Frank's freedom, and the quote on the t-shirt was, "This isn't over yet," which almost got me, and then I realized by the time anyone is reading this t-shirt, it is over. It is over. We just watched this character murdered. So I thought, what would I advise the t-shirt designers? Maybe it would be just to say, yes, it was just because of the anti-Semitism. Maybe that's the only t-shirt that would make sense. T-shirt or not, realization of Jew hatred or not, we know there has always been anti-Semitism. At the recent Aspen Ideas Festival, on a panel about racial healing in communities, the director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, Rabbi Jonah Pesner, was asked why anti-Semitism exists and why it is on the rise. He responded, quote, "By nature, from the time that Abraham and Sarah rejected the notion that God was an idol or a stone, but there was some greater power, greater than ourselves, Jews stood outside the existing order as critics. When you stand outside the existing order, when you criticize white supremacy fights back. These things are all related. So Dr. Deborah Lipstadt calls it the oldest form of hatred, not because it's worse than other forms of hatred, but throughout history, the Jew has played the role of, who do we blame for what's happening right now? So there's a lot of bad happening right now. So again, it's not at the expense of the utter truth of anti-Black racism or of homophobia or of the continuing assault on Native peoples, but Jews then do become the why everything's wrong. So I think what you're seeing now, he says, is a spike in that kind of scapegoating, end quote. For me, it was disturbing to see parade this summer at about the time of the conviction of the man who murdered 11 Jews at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. For the Leo Frank story no longer feels like the exception that proves a rule of Jewish safety. The Tree of Life shooter attacked our Jewish brothers, sisters, siblings. He attacked our Jewish values. He attacked our sense of security. And so, it is striking to me that many, many American Jews do not support the sentence of the death penalty for this shooter. Opposition to capital punishment or reluctance around capital punishment is common among American Jews and Israeli Jews as well. In Israel has a very special history when it comes to capital punishment. In Israel, capital punishment is not a legitimate punishment for murder. It is only to be used in the case of war crimes, treason, or crimes against humanity, and it has only been used twice, the last time in the case of Eichmann. In the case of the Jewish community at large, I think the Jews come honestly upon this opposition or reluctance when it comes to death penalty. In Jewish law, we see not an entire opposition, but great caution. In this week's Torah portion, Shoftim, the text lays out a judicial system, beginning with the concept of fairness, how important it is to treat every person fairly. It's an aspiration we have yet to meet in our own society. But that's where it starts. Not at justice, not at punishment, but at fairness. Parshat Shoftim goes on to be very specific regarding capital punishment and requires that in the case of execution, there needs to be 2 witnesses. That goes back to our Torah, even the very Torah that does include capital punishment in some cases. Great reluctance, great caution. The rabbis of the Talmud go even further. Our sages say, in their belief that capital punishment diminishes our humanity, but also in their belief that it is not theirs to overturn Torah law, they go so far as to say, in order for a Sanhedrin, a Jewish court, to execute the transgressor, somebody needs to have gone up to that transgressor just moments before they committed the murder and let them know in that very moment that they were about to commit a capital crime. I picture almost somebody sort of tapping someone on the shoulder to let them know in this violent moment. It's absurd. They create this impossible situation, bending over backwards to try to keep the law away from allowing for capital punishment. They go even further then and say, if a Sanhedrin, if a Jewish court sentences one person to death every 7 years, it should be considered a cruel court. And then the text comes back, the sages say, if the court were to sentence someone to death every 70 years, it should be considered a cruel court with blood on its hands. Deeply moved by the wisdom of our sages, I see how capital punishment diminishes our humanity. I am relieved the Pittsburgh shooter was found guilty. I mourn for the dead congregants. I remain shaken by this massacre and remember like it was yesterday, exiting Shabbat Services October 27th, 2018, and seeing a text on my phone from a local pastor at a Black church sending love and offering support. I do not need the murderer to be executed in order to know that he is guilty and punished, and in order to validate and have faith that the world knows that this was Jew hatred. I do not believe an execution would serve justice or would serve our crucial pursuit to combat anti-Semitism. So what does serve our pursuit to combat anti-Semitism? Solidarity the kind I experienced immediately after that Tree of Life shooting, and the kind Rabbi Jonah Pesner offered at the racial healing panel, and refusing to excuse, refusing to deny. It's the anti-Semitism. It's the Jew hatred. Saying it to our friend, our neighbor, using our voice, our power. I am moved by the Jewish performer Ben Platt's decision to use his star power to bring attention to the story of Leo Frank. In our own ways, we all have power. We all have voice. We can all use our power, our influence, to help call Jew hate, Jew hate. Not only for the woman standing online at the restroom, not only for the t-shirt designer, but for all of us. The message must resound. We all need to use our power to share our voice and to help understand when it's the anti-Semitism. Our voices are powerful, and our world needs us. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our prayer books. Continuing with the words of Aleinu, literally the phrase saying, "It is upon us." We take on responsibility. Page 282 and then 287. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, ואלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. These words from the World War II resistance fighter Hannah Senesh. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This week, our congregation observes yahrzeit for the following people on whose shoulders we stand: Susan Axler, Joel Becker, Alan Esther Bergsman, Sylvan K. Bernstein Sr., Max Brenman, Barbara Srenko-Breyer, J. Stanley Cohen, Evelyn Cohn, Naomi Diamond, Joel Eichen, Laura Epstein, Ada L. Schwam Edelson, Sylvia Fair, David C. Finston, Janet Schaefer-Fleischer, Hortense Langsdorf Fox, Mabel S. Friedenberg, Isaac Metzel Garfield, Edward Glassman, Flora Miller Goldsmith, Samuel Gorchov, Isidore Edward Gordon, Ethel Sablasky Greenhouse, Milton E. Gundersheimer, Fanny Hassler, Rhoda Nussbaum Heimerdinger, Louise S. Hertzberg, Sylvia Holtzman, Margaret G. Jacobs, Samuel S. Kalisher, Francis Canoff, Samuel Cates, Simon Kirschbaum, Max Kleeman, Horace Cohn, Sidney O. Krasnoff, Theodore Krieger, Claire Levy-Levi, Cecile F. Levine, Morris Lifter, Cora L. Mayer, Gordon McDowell, Beverly McDowell, Daniel T. Morris, Lester J. Moses, Robert Nemiroff, Charlene Odell Kelly, Molly Seidman-Rab, Mark Rosans, Paula Sales, Bernard Shackman, Charlotte Schoen, Sadie G. Schwartz, Gordon F. Schwartz, Stephen M. Cedar, Alexander Sherman, Morris Silverstein, Jacob Snyder, Isolda Solo, William R. Summer, Lee Stanley, Harry H. Stein, Stella M. Stern, Rosa Strauss, Leon C. Sunstein, Betty Tassman, Sylvia Thomas, Harry Traubman, Caroline Troutman, Alexander L. Vogelson, Joseph Weintraub, Henry M. Wexelblatt, Flossie Willis, Peter Winokur Jr., Joseph M. Winston, Lillian Wolfe, Simon Yellen, Evelyn D. Zoll. We add the names of those who have been taken from our midst, but not from our hearts, in these most recent days, for whom we observe Shloshim. Bill Finlay, Francis Fulton, Joan Strauss, Joan Phillips Warner. And if you are observing Yartzeit or Shloshim for a loved one whose name I have not called, please feel free to add it to the comments or speak it aloud now. We honor their memories as, turning to page 294, we rise for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma devarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach al Melmei Almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei d'Kudashah b'reichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbachata v'nechamata, Zamiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to the bereaved and peace to each of you. And together we say, Amen.
Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
I'm so pleased to welcome forward Cassidy Layton, representing our board of directors. That's her mic.
Excellent. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. If you are new to Rodef Shalom, a special welcome to you. Thank you for being here. Please meet our congregant Lynn Edelman, who is waving at the back of the sanctuary to learn more following the service.
Thank you. On a passage from Song of Songs from the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, which reads, "Open to me." The Midrash, our classical commentary of legends, teaches, the Holy One said to the people of Israel, "My children, make for me an opening of teshuvah, of repentance, of growth, as small as the eye of a needle, and I will make the opening of forgiveness so wide that coaches and wagons could enter." This Elul, May the sound of shofar open our hearts, our minds, our souls.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav eilecha v'chuneka Yisa Adonai panav eilecha v'yasem lecha shalom Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav eilecha v'chuneka Yisa Adonai panav eilecha v'yasem lecha shalom Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha
May God bless us and keep us.
Ya'er Adonai panav eilecha v'chuneka
May the light of God's Spirit shine upon us and through us.
Yisa Adonai panav eilecha v'yasem lecha shalom
May God's presence be with us and bring us peace. Kein Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.
Tekiah
Yasher Koach. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
What, the last tune? It works. Yeah, it's a good one. You gotta put that on the record.